Good morning, everyone. You are listening to the Voice of Saskatoon, and I'm your radio host, Rashid Ahmed. What a lovely morning today. It was raining actually in the morning, but it's beautiful weather now. The clouds are out, and I think perfect day for going out for picnic or any fun activities. And I'm actually planning to go with my friends who are newcomer in Saskatoon, and I will be taking them to Pike Lake. I hope it will not be raining again so that we can enjoy time and they will be able to see Saskatoon because we do have lovely views. I will my guests will know about that too during my conversation that we do have lovely views and Saskatoon is known as living skies. So we do have definitely lovely views to view and especially during the sunset and also we are famous, like Saskatchewan is famous for northern lights, so people from all over the world actually come here and to see the northern lights here. Well, without any further delay, so I will start my show, and we do have two exciting guests with us, and they are joining us from all the way from UK and London, UK. So our first guest is Nadeem Malik Sahib, and he is one of the amazing cricket player, and he do have a very long history about cricket, and he will mention about that in his introduction. And then our other guest is Mahmood Mirza Sahab, and he's also joining us from London, UK. And Mahmood Mirza Sahab has also a very long history regarding cricket career, and as well as he's also official commentator for International Masroor Cricket Tournament, as well as I think he's also director for communication for International Masroor Tournament. Uh, Before I will go to their introduction, I would like to share the story which actually really inspired me for Mahmood Mirza Saab. His father was passed away at the age of 6, and he did a lot of effort to become a successful person. And he is not only successful in cricket, but also in his professional life too. So welcome both of you to our show.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. And you can watch our show on Facebook Live. So if you will go onto the Voice of Saskatoon, it will be live and you can see that. And the other thing is that if you want to comment on our for our guests, so you can send the messages as well. So I will start from Nadeem Malik Sahib. So tell us a little bit about your cricket career, Nadeem Malik Sahib. How did you start and how you got the motivation?
Oh well, I started. Well, I love sports since I was a kid. I was always interested in sports. But what got me into cricket was in 1975 when I heard my cousin Nasir Malik was selected for Pakistan to play in the first ever World Cup. Couple of facts: he was the first Ahmadi to play for Pakistan, and also he was the first Pakistani to bowl in a World Cup for Pakistan. So that's something interesting. Anyway, he took me to stay with the team. Our roommate was Imran Khan at the time as well. So I was lucky enough to meet some of the greats of cricket, West Indian players and maybe Australian players like Zahir Abbas, Majid Khan, Wasim Raja, Clive Lloyd, Vivian Richards, Dennis Lillee, Chappell Brothers. They all influenced me since I was a kid. And that made me determined to play cricket. Luckily, as I grew up, I did a lot of other sports, rugby, football. I was also a Surrey javelin champion, but my passion was cricket. So I think at the age of 13, I got selected for the Surrey youth team. I went on to play in the seconds and finally got to play first team cricket. My captain being Alex Stewart, funny enough. Unfortunately, my career ended short due to a bad injury playing football. I was out for 2 years, but I did recover and went on to play 15 years in the Surrey Championship League. Um, I had many proud moments in my life. I formed the first Ahmadi Cricket League team called Gresson Hall Cricket Club. I was captain for 3 years and we won the league for 3 years.
Wow.
But my fondest was being made coach for the England B team in the annual International Masood tournament, which we won. So I went on to coach the A team for the next 5 years, and in total 6 years coach. 3 times we won, came second twice and third once, and I'm very proud of that.
Wow, wow, amazing achievement. And I think it's our honor to have you on our show because as you mentioned that you have played with a lot of big players such as Imran Khan and like Stewart, and how you're feeling, like now I'm just pitching one question regarding Imran Khan, like you were talking about Imran Khan. So when you were playing, because there are many stories about Imran Khan, like how strict he was. And so tell us a little bit about any one story which you want to share.
Well, all I can say, at the time I was a young kid when I met Imran Khan. I was overawed because, like I said, I mentioned these great players. Imran Khan at that time he was just starting out. He wasn't known as the great Imran Khan as he is now.
Yeah.
But when I did meet him, he was the nicest person you would ever meet. He was very much very close to his mother. So at every night at the hotel, he would sit down and he would write a letter to his mother. That was amazing.
Wow.
So, I remember that immensely. But yes, that's what a fond memory of Imran Khan. Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that inspiring story. Now I will come to Mahmood Mirza Saab, great player and a great leader as well. Mahmood Mirza Saab, tell us a little bit about your cricket career and overall career as well.
So, as you kindly mentioned, my father passed away at the age of 6, and my aspiration was my late beloved mother, Mirza Rashida Begum Mirza. She sadly passed away at the age of 90 2 months ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and she taught me from a very young age. Look at your mamu. He's playing basketball for Pakistan, Mirza Abdul Basit Saab, and look at your other mamu, and he plays hockey for East Africa, Mirza Abdul Wahid. So she from a very young age encouraged me to be. Now, coming back from my background, we used to make our own bats out of literally cardboard and wood. All right, it was more out of wood because we couldn't afford them, and we started playing bats out of this wood. We used to have splinters. I remember going to Fazal Mosque as a very young boy, and they used to kindly let us, in Fazal Mosque is in Patni, they used to let us draw little crayons as wickets on the side, and we used to play cricket there. And Imam Rashid Saab, he was very, Ataul Rashid Saab was very proactive and encouraging youth to come and as well as play as well. And so my cricket career really started off when I joined a school for all boys. It was called Hounslow College. And my mother kindly worked 12 hours a day to send me to this private school. And I started performing reasonably well. And our head teacher was the late Mr. William Hamblin. At the age of 11, started looking at some of my performances. And so every time I'd take wickets, he'd come and give me 1 or 2 candies. And then one day I took 7 for 7. And he came and gave me the whole packet. He gave me the whole packet. And he said, do you know what? Your performances have been so good that we've been asked to nominate people to go and represent or go for trials at Middlesex. And we used to have to wear caps and ties at school. And he kindly said, to me, Mahmood, today you can take off your cap. You don't have to wear it because otherwise you'd get a detention. And he said, I've hired you a taxi to take you to Lord's. And it's such an honor at the age of 11 to start playing my cricketing career there. Now, I had to be very careful because my mom was working, as I said to you, 12 hours a day to send me. And I had to make a balance between going there and being able to study. And I chose to go to a place called Loughborough University, which is very, very sports orientated. So Nick Knight, Monty Panesar were some of the people who have graduated from this university. And we ended up playing quite regularly. We'd turn up with Leicestershire and they'd come along with, some really interesting players, Peter Willey, Philip de Freitas. And it gave me the aspiration to, start playing cricket at a reasonable level. And in the UK in 1987, they had 26 indoor cricket centres. And they had this very long league called the National Indoor Cricket League. Now, I started playing in that, and I played for Hounslow in the final, and that centre closed down. So we moved to Edmonton, where we went for trials. And the next thing you know, they said, right, we like you so much. We want you to actually open the batting with John Embry. For those of you who don't know Embers, he's a good friend of mine. And every team, as I sent you a couple of photographs, every team had 7 or 8 professionals in them. So to be playing with John there, I then transferred, because Edmonton closed down, I transferred to Beckenham, went for trials there, and Darren Bicknell of Surrey was my opening batsman. So we were so fortunate that we started playing with British Airways all over the world. And you end up, just to summarize, my couple of key achievements that I was doing is to play against a team called Volvo Scribblers, which is basically PIA, and had 4 test players in there, Pakistani test players in there, was a good achievement. And I was very lucky. I came in at 179 of 75 deliveries, the second highest scorer in that tournament, just behind Zahid Ahmed of PIA. So he beat me by 1 run to $2,000. All right. Otherwise, that was the achievement for the best person in the tournament. And, during these tournaments, playing in Malaysia, in Africa, in the Middle East, you'd get to play against legends, Kapil Dev, Greg Chappell, Dennis Lilly, and you learn so much from them. One of my most proudest moments, as Nadeem will tell you, is I was captain I played in the first 5 Masroor tournaments, and I was captain of the UK A team in 2011. And we actually beat Nadeem's team, who were doing so well.
Well, we will talk about that story too, because but before that, I will go to Nadeem Malik Sahib now, and sorry to interrupt you. Nadeem Malik Sahib, as you mentioned, you got your motivation from your cousin Nasir Malik Sahib, who was the first Pakistani bowler who throws the ball in the World Cup. So tell us a little bit about Nasir Malik Sahib, and also your aspiration and how you see him.
Well, he was someone I looked up to. Obviously, when you find out you've got a cousin in Pakistan, I was born and bred in England, so I didn't really know much about my cousins in Pakistan. But by chance, I was very much into sport, and I had a cousin who ended up playing for Pakistan. So when I found out that he was selected for Pakistan team, there can't be a prouder kid. He was my hero. I believe he was at the time #1 bowler in Pakistan in his averages. He played for National Bank of Pakistan. So he was selected on merit, and he was at the time, a good bowler. Unfortunately, when they found out he was an Ahmadiyya, his career was cut short internationally, even though he was still performing in Pakistan on a high level. But it is what it is. And the saddest moment, unfortunately, he died. He was training to become an umpire for Pakistan, but he suffered from sugar and diabetes, and apparently he was walking down the street in Lahore and he collapsed, and unfortunately he died. And that was tough for me, very tough. But that's why I carried on playing cricket for his name. I always remember.
Yeah, well, I think Nasir Malik Saab is actually a legendary player, and we are always proud to mention his stories, and because he was the first Pakistani bowler who throws the ball in World Cup. Some of the guests or some of the listeners are messaging too, so I will take those comments. So Khurram Ahmed Saab is saying Nadeem Saab pro player. I think he's from Dubai. And Rodri Rahman Saab is saying nice to see Mahmood Mirza Saab and Nadeem Malik Saab. Hope you are doing well. And those are the comments. And if we have more comments, we will take it live. So if anyone has any comments, they can send us messages on Facebook Live. So Nadeem Malik Saab, my question to you is your career was amazing and you had faced a lot of challenges too. And then you got an injury, which actually affect your career as well. So tell us a little bit about your challenges and how you overcome those challenges.
Well, I mean, my motivation during my injury was the love of sport, and the passion I had for cricket. I refused uh, to let my injury get to me. So I exercised and trained, even though my county career was over. I still managed to play a high standard of cricket, which is what I wanted. So thankfully, I still went out and carried on playing cricket.
Okay, cool. Well, I will come to Mahmood Mirza Saab now. So Mahmood Mirza Saab, lots of challenges in your life, like right from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about, like how did you motivate yourself? Like education, because that was the pressure too. And a lot of people sometimes survive at one area, another area, but you were successful for both areas. So tell us a little bit about motivation, because that's really important. A lot of youth members are listening.
Yeah. So my mother taught me at a very young. She'd get up at 5 a.m. and she'd get up and she'd say read your namaz, and my motivation was to get up and to be with her at that early time of the day. And then what you can do is you go for a run, and it keeps you, if you're physically fit, you're mentally fit. And that time of the day, it's very quiet in the day. And so you start working, at a very young age. It teaches you, if you look at all professionals, if you start off early, you read your namaz, and then you carry on during the course of the day, everything else fits in accordingly. One of my biggest challenges was you'd come in and they'd throw the ball to me and say, okay, 27 overs later, you're still bowling. Now, from the age of 11, that's not nowadays, the maximum you're allowed is 6 overs for an under 16. So that completely wrecked my back, because you'd go in and they'd throw the ball to you and 27 overs later, all right, you're still bowling. But, that kind of challenge also gives you the opportunity, because Hazur would take part in these national charity walks, which our community does. And soon as I caught wind of this, all right, these are 26-mile marathon walks. And by the grace of Allah, from 1986 to 2008, every one that I took part in, I won by the grace of Allah and got that Hazur. And more importantly, I raised thousands for really good charities like Great Ormond Street Hospital. So those were my challenges.
Mashallah, mashallah. Well, Nadeem Malik Saab, I will come to you. As you were captain for a couple of years too. So tell us a little bit about, like your experience as a captain and how challenging it was, because you have won like 3 consecutive tournaments too. And there were many teams from all over the world.
Well, I mean, when it comes to the Masroor tournament, it was just by chance I became coach. I actually went to watch the tournament. It had been going on for 3-4 years, but I was involved in my county cricket at the time, or my Surrey Championship League cricket. But it was when I went there, I saw the England team play, and they got knocked out in I believe the quarterfinals. And I said to the players, you have a good team, but you need a leader and a coach. They decided I actually went there to play. I wanted to play. I wanted to show them that who I am. They don't know me. Mahmood knows me. That if 2020 was invented when I was at my peak, I'd be a great 2020 player. But someone told them that I played for county cricket and this and that, so they decided they wanted me to become coach, but not player coach, unfortunately, just coach. They made me the coach of the B team. My first objective was to find a captain who will get respect from players and also understands cricket. Very important to me. I was lucky enough to spot the perfect leader, and that was Khalid Zafar, who in his own right is one of the top coaches in this country. We got together and we recognized that we were looking for a few experienced players, but we needed youth in the team. It's a 20-over format. We need players who will run and run right through the tournament. So we formed the team that we believed were young but good. And amazingly, we won the tournament. Great captaincy, great team performance. Very proud of them. So for me to get to 5 finals, that was great. Captaincy, when I was captain, this is why I liked Khalid Zafar so much. He reminded of me when I was captain. I was also a great follower of great captains of the world, Zahir Abbas, Imran Khan. I watched Clive Lloyd. And the thing that I noticed about these captains was the coolness in the situation when if they're losing the match or they're winning, they just stayed cool and they stayed calm and they show that to the team fellows that don't panic. Doesn't matter what the situation's like, we will win the match. And that's how I followed my cricket. And I looked up to these sort of players.
Well, we are talking about big players, and I will come to Mahmood Mirza Saab, and when he shared some of the pictures. So you were with all the big players like Kapil Dev, Inzamamul Haq. How do you know them? Like, how did you interact with them?
So we were very fortunate that British Airways would always pick up a couple of professionals to represent them in these tournaments. And you ended up playing against them. They were, and I'll give you this particular example of we were at a tournament in Malaysia, and British Airways had 3 professionals playing for them. We had Darren Bicknell of Surrey, Andy Pick, and Paul Johnson of Nottinghamshire. And we went in and we played Qantas, which is another airlines, right? So you started playing against them, and normally when you're playing against Australians, all right, you get let's just say some interesting comments coming from you from the slips or very close around the bat. And I hit this shot, and I heard a clap, and I looked around, and it's Greg Chappell in first slip, and he's saying great shot.
Wow.
So it spurs you on that you're up against this, and we posted, what was it, 250 in 40 overs, and we thought that was a respectable total. They came in and we got rid of the first 2 openers very, very quickly. And I am not joking. This gentleman, Greg Chappell, walked in, and his age was about 47, 48, because he was well older than, he was well past his peak, all right. I have never seen someone score a better 100 in my life. And that taught me a lot about cricket, that, somebody like that who's played at such a high level, and you go and speak to people like that. And the guy who was bowling to me was Dennis Lillee. And you'd go to the hotel afterwards, and the first thing Dennis would be doing, he'd be swimming in the pool for 20 minutes. And I said, Dennis, why do you do this? And he said, Mahmood, I'm 48, all right? And one of the reasons why I stay so fit is you come back into the pool and you learn. So coming back, these people, you learned from the tournaments we played in, all right? And you learned a lot from them as well. As far as the Inzi is concerned, I was very fortunate to be captain of British Airways for quite some time. And one of my youngsters was a Middlesex player. To this date, his name is Dr. Asad Khan. And a big shout out to the NHS, who have done so much for us in this country. Dr. Asad Khan was 15. He ended up playing for Weybridge, which I'm sure Nadeem will tell you, it's a top club. So his good friend is Rashid Latif. And Pakistan were here in 2006. And so Rashid said, why don't you come along with one of your players to test our team out? And I thought, wow, this is amazing. So you run into the nets, and I got lucky. I got Razak out twice, and Afridi just slaughtered me. Absolute. I've never been hit so hard in my life. But the great thing is that they were very nice people. They invited us back, afterwards. We all went out for a meal in the evening. And it was this is how I got my interaction with, with some recently good players who I'll always look up to. And they gave some lovely, advice to my son, who was growing up very young at the time as well, on diet, all right, on the mental side of cricket, all right, and about how you should incorporate professionalism very early, turning up to matches an hour before a match turns up, because that is what true cricketers do.
Yeah, and I will come to you on that point, but before that, I will go to Nadeem Malik Saab, because that's my next question was like regarding you. Nadeem Malik Saab, you have played with a lot of big players too. So tell us a little bit about, like your county cricket experience and who you met with them and how
Um,
was your day?
well, it was funny. Friend of mine rang me a few days ago and he said to me, "Do you remember when you got Mark Ryan Prakash out for a duck?" And I said, "No, I don't remember that." He goes, "What you did was I caught him in the slips." And so yes, I mean, I remember getting Alex Stewart out for a duck when we were playing at Surrey
Wow.
Championship League. Well, that was a medium fast bowler at the time, and many arguments I used to have with Alex Stewart. That's why I said to Mahmood that he will remember me as a 2020 player more than, because in those days 2020 didn't exist, so they expected batsmen to play like Zahir Abbas and Majid Khan, keep the ball on the ground. My problem was I kept hitting sixes and fours. So I used to get telling off from Alex Stewart a lot to play proper cricket. And I used to say to him, "Alec, I can see the ball. It's like a football. I can smack it out the ground. Don't worry about it. I won't get out. Trust me." My last performance was that I played for Surrey was against Sussex. I got 6 wickets, including a hat trick, and
Wow.
62 not out. So I was an out and out all round player. See, you got to remember in those days, being an Asian, and Mahmood will back me up on this. Being an Asian in the 70s and 80s, you don't get a look in county cricket. It was all overseas players, but no homegrown Asians were playing. So I had to prove match after match that I'm worth keeping. So if I had to perform, it would be either with a bat. If I didn't perform with the bat, I'd do it with the ball. If it's not with the ball, I'll do the bat. So that's why I concentrated on both my skills as a cricketer, bowling and batting, because I knew that they were looking for excuses, and I wasn't going to give them the excuse. But after saying that, like Mahmood said, after the matches, they were very nice people to know, and I met many players in my lifetime, and but yes, Alex Stewart, obviously, I have great respect for because he was my captain.
Yeah, and Umar Wali just sent us message from Saskatoon. He's saying like lovely program and very informative. So thank you, Umar, for listening to the show. And now I will come towards Mahmood Mirza Saab, as you were mentioning about your kid and advising. So what will be your advice for the youngsters, like how they can start their career? And I will come to Nadeem Malik Saab for the same question too. So what will be your advice and how they can pursue their cricket career? Because now it's very challenging, lots of competition.
So, I asked the same question to my very good friend and fellow opener, John Embry, when my son was 10. And I said, John, Rafi's an inspiring cricketer. He's on playing for Middlesex as well for their gold teams. What would you suggest I do for him, in terms of helping him? And he said, Mahmood, first of all, let him enjoy all sports. Like Nadeem said, I did athletics, you do rugby, you do football, you do cricket. It is not just one sport, he said, let him, and he will find his own way. But I think, this point of professionalism is very important, because when you play for good clubs, and I mean in the proper county Premier Leagues, right? I hope Nadeem will advocate this as well. You turn up to a game 1 hour minimum before the game starts. You're mentally in tune with the game. You have throwdowns, you have stretches. If you're a bowler, you hit your 3 marks, right? So you're hitting short of a length, you're hitting the top of the stumps, and you're hitting your Yorkers. And typically we would put, towels there. So for aspiring youngsters, I would say to them, right, do this. The second thing that I'd like to, which is often not included, is your diet. Your diet is absolutely critical these days, right? So less oily food, and more things like, real good vitamins, like, for example, in fish, you have, eating salmon and eating, mackerel, right? You're getting the right vitamins for your heart, for your body, right? Less of the burgers, because kids at that age don't know what, you know, what damage you're doing to your body. You know, so more vegetables, more chicken and lean, you know, foods, and that's an important part of it as well. Now, the third thing that and hopefully I'll give you an example of that is fitness is critical. If nothing else, if those 22 marathons didn't teach me anything else, right? Especially as Khalid Zafar mentioned on your program 2 months ago, you know, for your fielding, you in 2020, you need to be fit. So, you know, for these youngsters, do not do any weights until after the age of 16. So professionalism, diet, fitness, because, you know, I wish we had the ability to do weights and whatever at a, you know, but, you know, circumstances were such that all we had to rely on was whatever we were given, you know, by the grace of Allah, you know, naturally. But these things matter, because when I look at the physique of someone like Asif Mujtaba, Sachin Tendulkar, these guys are built. You look at Alex as well. You know, he came to our one of our evening events at British Airways' annual dinner. These guys are built like tanks. So once you've gone over the age of 16, focusing on your wrists, if you're a bowler, your shoulders, right? Making sure that you are a proper athlete, so that, you know, that extra and that kind of commitment, people do not realize when you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and after you're in namaz, you go for a run, right? Because that's what gets you to that level. The average person will not be doing that. So I hope that given some advice to youngsters of how I would perceive, you know, from a young age to incorporate professionalism. Go and play for good, hard county sides, which will give you that certain level of professionalism and an edge when it comes to tournaments like Masroor.
Yeah, well, great advices. And I think if youngsters will follow those instructions, they will be a good athlete and good players as well. Back to Nadeem Malik Sahib. I want to ask you the same question, but also I want to add one more thing. Back maybe, you know, like 10 years ago, the cricket format was totally different, you know, like it was very slow. But now the format is very quick, T20, and, you know, like you have to hit the ball. So how much exercise and also technique, you know, like when we are talking about technique, like such as Rahul Dravid, I really like his strokes, you know, like how fancy player he is. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting. We've had this debate many times, and me and Mahmood have spoken to each other about this. Is the modern cricket as good as the old cricket? The training that requires now is, yes, it's a lot more running, a lot more fitness is required. Whether the way they play the cricket I like, I'm not sure. Our day when we were playing proper cricket, as what we call proper cricket, solid cricket. Now you feel like all you need to do is have a good chunky bat and just hit the ball out the ground. You know, so you know it's how you perceive it. You'll always get the modern cricket's better than the old one, but that's the way it is, the generation. For me, I always say for the youngsters who they will face many obstacles. Parents could be one. Not all parents want their kids to play cricket. I know this from experience. You have to balance it correctly, and if you can do both, good luck. But if you are really dedicated in sport and you want to do it. Never give up. Practice every opportunity. And also, in my opinion, like Mahmood said, you must play at the highest level. Join cricket teams that play league cricket. Play with everyone of all cultures. Playing with Asian teams only and playing amongst each other week after week, for me, I think it will affect your standard and ability to progress. So yeah, join a proper league. Join the Surrey. Yeah, you have your Asian leagues, and you learn from there. You grow. But once you've hit that standard, then and you know you can go the next level. Don't be afraid to leave. Go and join these cricket leagues and start playing what I call hard cricket.
Yeah, and I think I will agree with that point, because diversity is really important. So playing with other players will improve your ability to think and also for your leadership, and you can learn so many great things from other culture and other background as well. Mahmood Mirza sir, tell us about like your activities during COVID-19, because I know it's a tough situation and a lot of players are stuck at home and they cannot do practice. So how you're managing your time?
So what I did this morning was I went for my 5K run. I've got a small bench in the house. I work out. And what I try to do when time permits is we run a get fit activity session for Ansar each day, 30 minutes.
Wow.
And we focus on key, one of the key areas that the body needs to focus on is your core. Your core and your core stomach muscles attach the upper part of your body as well as the lower part of your body. And so during these COVID times, what we do is we encourage, we get Ansar in our community to join in by these Zoom sessions. And there is a big shout out, to Javed Haider Saab from Slough Jamaat, who is our coach and runs these sessions for us. And I'm humbly, thankful to him for doing these, because it's brought brotherhood, it's brought unity, and it's brought a bit of fun as well. Because when you're on Zoom sessions from, as I am in work-wise, I mean, I'm speaking to Australia at 8 a.m. in the morning, all right, and at night I'm working with the guys from California at 6. Yeah. And so it's nice to get that 30-minute break where I can sort of switch off and join in and try and keep myself fit.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think you find a unique way to be healthy. And I feel embarrassment now. I have to do something too, like maybe forming a group or something, because I was lazy and I was not doing anything. So we got some messages, and I'm sorry I was not able to see those messages because I'm not pro like Mubarak, like checking messages and talking, but I will take those messages now. Khalid Malik Sahib is also listening. He's saying like great to see over both legends. And Rana Irfan Shehzad Sahib is saying nice to see Nadeem Malik Sahib. He's our legend and great coach. Luckily, I have played with him. Great, hard-hitting batsman, very good coach. In international Masroor cricket tournament, he turned bunch of youngsters into a winning unit and won 3 tournaments for UK. Regarding Mahmood Mirza Saab is not only a good player, but since 2019 in international Masroor cricket tournament, he's responsible for media publicity and he has done remarkable job. Mubarak is also listening. He's saying, mashallah, amazing legends on board. Well, I know like you guys are very famous, and to be honest, like when I saw your profiles and everything, I was so impressed and I was eager to host both of you at my show. And we always listen to you guys on or watch during International Masroor Cricket Tournament on MTA or Facebook Live as well. So you guys are doing. So now we will talk about little bit about International Masroor Cricket Tournament. So I will ask Nadeem Malik Sahib, like you were a coach and you did amazing job, to build career of the cricketers, like such as you pick the right person for the right job, Khalid Zafar as a captain. So, tell us a little bit tips about coaching, and also, what will be your advice to the kids or youngsters who are coming for International Masroor Cricket?
Listen, I recognized early, just because you play cricket does not mean you can become a good captain or even a good coach. I learned from my captains and coaches over the years. And what I learned very early, that every player you have to treat individually. It's so important. Each have their limits, each have their benefits for the team. So you have to recognize that very early. So when I became coach for the tournament, I treated each player individually, but you get them to play for your teammates. Become a strong unit. The one thing I was adamant about was, once I was selected as coach and the team was selected, That was when I would take over and not let outside influences upset my team or interfere with our setup. It's so important to have that communion togetherness. Um, you know, my players could concentrate on playing. I was always said to my team, you have been selected on merit. So now play to your abilities, and most of all, enjoy yourself. A happy team brings harmony, and in my book, it's success. So it's important to enjoy it because you can't take things too seriously. Unfortunately, when we did lose our first final, the the team, I felt like they died, and
Mhm.
I was so proud of the team. You got to understand, to get to the final is a great achievement. To get to
Yeah,
5 finals for me is, I've got nothing to be ashamed of. I think, to get to the final, and to if you win, it's a bonus. But to get to
yeah.
the final to me is the great achievement. So these boys that we selected, the youngsters and the few experienced players, I say to them now, if they're listening, I'm proud of every single one of you. You did not let anyone down. Forget what people say. You didn't let anyone down.
Yeah. Well, I think great advice again. Like if you feel enjoy in your sports, then you can perform really better. But if you will feel stress while playing, like we have to win the game, then you might lose the game, and you also lose your spirit for sportsmanship.
That's right.
So
That's
great
right.
advice, Nadeem Saab.
Thank you.
Mahmood Mirza Saab, I remember I cut you in the beginning. Tell us a little bit about, like your experience when you were selected for USA team and you performed really bad. Well, sorry.
So can I start off first of all thanking Rana Irfan Saab for his kind comments about both of us.
Yes.
You know, I remember we were 6 runs away from knocking out Germany in the 2010 Masroor tournament. 6 runs away. He and I were at the pitch, and cricket is unfortunately one of those things. I was run out. I just hit somebody over extra cover for 6 in the pro, and there was a youngster coming through called Kizar Ahmed who hit 50 off it was about 17 balls. He just destroyed them. 16-year-old batting with a 40 plus year old. I just watched him in amazement as this youngster, and he's playing for Norway, by the way, now. So
Uh-huh.
he has gone on to, exactly what I thought he would go on to. This Masroor tournament has over 80 people working in them. And if I can just thank, and if I start off by identifying my team in the last 5 years, it's led by the wonderful and amazing Fareed Dogar Saab. He's the VC in charge of media. Nasir Ahmed Sheikh is Nazme live for the stream. Ahmed Faizi is in charge of Nazim photography. I do the English commentary. My colleague Rana Mubarak Ahmed, affectionately known as Commando, which is what we call it, he does the Urdu commentary. And finally, Mahmood Ahmed Nasir Saab does social media. There is a team of over 80 individuals who are working day and night, led by Mirza Abdul Rashid Saab as the president of Sete Jismani, right? And every single one of them, I ask you to remember them in their prayers, because people do not see the amount of organization. So that's where I want to start off first of all. 2009, for me, Masroor came too late. You've got to remember a 40-year-old playing with people who are half his age, all right? But we got to, finals day for the UK. And to go and to get an award from Hazur and do Musafa with him, what an unbelievable start for me. 2009, 2010. I've just given you the example. We were 6 balls away from knocking out Germany and playing in the final, which would have been the shock of the tournament. But such being then given that honor of being captain of the UK A team. Nadeem will openly tell you we had a practice match against his team, and Nadeem was umpiring, and we had this practice match, and I selected people who I'd grown up with: Khalik Mirza, Baba, all right, Vasik, Amir. These are young, rude people I'd grown up with in the UK. and we beat their team. And he was the umpire. And it was so amazing. Nudin Shamas Saab came to me and he said, Mahmood, aapne to dra diya. So I'll translate that. He goes, you've really scared me because your team is beating, you know. Now, we played the first game against Norway. We destroyed them, absolutely destroyed them. Next team we played against was Netherlands. We beat them. Now, I did not realize that we had a unique calculation for, I thought it was net run rate. And so I rested 4 or 5 of my players and brought in youngsters and gave them an opportunity. And we lost to USA. And then somebody came and told me we're not playing net not run rate after the tournament. Otherwise, that team was for me a good team. And but Nadeem knows these players that I select. I hand selected those players because I knew how good they'd been. I then went on to represent UK, and we played against Nadeem in the final. Now, what you've got to realize is that you've been playing for 5 days, and I had a broken finger. So I couldn't, you know, I've been playing in this tournament with a broken finger, and you can't really perform. And we had 4 runouts in the first 5. Now, I respect, you know, Nadeem's team, and they did incredibly well. But you know, when you get 4 out of your first 5 run out, that was an element. And most importantly for me, I picked up some wonderful new friends. Humayun Mirza Saab, Rabbani Saab. You know, these guys will stay with me for, you know, for the rest of my, you know, days on this earth. And I was so fortunate to have played 5 tournaments. And then I thought to myself, Mahmood, look, it is time to hang up your boots. And I've been very fortunate, you know, in the friendship that I've made with the Canadian players. They will tell you, you know, my heart is cricket through and through. And anything that I can do for the Jamaat moving forward, it's people do not realize, but to get an article into the world-renowned Cricketer magazine took me 5 years of lobbying. And finally, Josh Waddell, who's the editor there, said, Mahmood, we're going to put an article in the Cricketer magazine for you. So these are some of my experiences from the Masroor, and I just want to thank all those people who made this tournament what it is, because it is not one person, it is a team.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And again, because I am listening shows from last 2 months as well, and a lot of great speakers and sportsmen are coming to, and I want to say like kudos to the committees of Masroor Cricket Tournament on all the people, because whenever we bring any sportsman, they always talk about hospitality, like the way they treat accommodation, transportation. So you name it, you know, like any department, everyone is putting their effort, actually more than 100% effort. So Jazakallah, and may Allah bless your efforts. And again, this is a blessing tournament for us, because we see over Hazur in the final game, and he really come to the tournament. So this is a very big achievement, life achievement for many people. So may Allah bless everyone. Nadeem Malik Sahib, because of the time, so we will wrap up our show. So any final words from your side?
It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's and I will always say, for the people who are passionate about cricket, just keep playing and enjoying. And this Masroor tournament will get bigger and bigger with the help of some great commentary from my friend over there. So inshallah, I want to be involved. So if they ever need me for anything, I'm here to help.
Jazakallah. Mahmood Mirza Saab, any final words?
Well, first of all, thank you, for inviting us. It's been, it's taken me down memory lane, as it has with Nadeem. All right, and I just want to say to all the amazing players that I've had the privilege of playing with: Khalid Zafar, Nadeem, Bashir Sharif, Abid, Muhammad Qasar, Abdul Aziz, Haris, Rafia. These guys will continue to bring great memories for us, and I welcome back, inshallah, next year the people from Australia, from Canada, from America, and all over Europe to what will be, inshallah, an amazing tournament moving forward. Jazakallah.
Well, Jazakallah. Well, that was a great honor for me to have you both, because you are the real hero of our Jamaat, because you have played in county, you have met with a lot of big players, and you did your performance too. And again, like your coaching skill, Nadeem Malik Saab, it's very helpful for our youngsters and how you improve their skills, captaincy. And Mahmood Mirza Saab, we are very proud of you too, because you not only succeed in your sports activities, but also in worldly affairs as well. And how you promote our international Masroor cricket tournament is amazing, because I have seen some videos which you have shared with me, like many media outlets really come there. So you are legendaries, and we are very proud of you. And inshallah, we will invite you again at our show. Jazakallah again for coming out today. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.